want to get into the topic of women who are suffering with hormone-related issues, hormone-related problems, and other issues that are associated with menopause and perimenopause, before menopause. And these kinds of hormone issues are large. And a lot of women are suffering from it and don't know what to do. All they're given or all they're recommended is to take hormone pills or antidepressants or anti-anxiety pills. That's pretty much the whole entire game as it relates to conventional medicine. That's not enough. In my opinion, it's inadequate, and it's not the answer. And not only that, those approaches often have deleterious side effects while they kick the problem down the road and they never address the underlying cause. We're going to try to do that with our special guest. His name is Larry Logsdon. Larry Logsdon is a functional food researcher and chemist specializing in medicinal and health-giving properties and the benefits of exotic fruits, how they impact human health with all the special and amazing nutrients in them. Larry founded Tahiti Trader in 1998, and Tahiti Trader manufactures and distributes Noni juices throughout the world, including the United States. And with that, let us welcome back to the program Larry Logsdon.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Bob. How are you?
I'm well, and I hope you are too, Larry. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show to talk about this topic of women and women who are suffering with menopausal symptoms and perimenopausal symptoms and those types of disorders. I think that many of the people who are listening right now will either know somebody or they themselves have it within their family, and they're given very few options beyond pharmacologic drugs, which have lots of side effects, or just learn to live with it. I mean, it's just part of life. You just need to sweat all night long and have depression and all those other symptoms go along with it. And I want to make sure that in our conversation today, Larry, that is addressed. So let us start, please, with the definition or defining menopause and perimenopause. What are they?
Well, menopause is a change of life for all women. You're going to go through this at some point where their reproductive system just is not producing the hormones it once did. And it's not it's something not a disease, it's just what it is. And perimenopause is when you're in between premenopause and menopause, when the body is still producing hormones, but it's fluctuating up and down and irregular.
Okay. Well, a lot of women have it. And let's ask that question.
Well, 50%. Well, it's an amazing amount. Dr. Bob, listen to this. 75 million U.S. women are in menopause, and 6,000 more women are going into menopause every day.
Wow. A huge number. I did not realize, though, that it was that large. And I of course, in my years of practice, treated a good number of women who are having these problems. And I mean, it just turns their lives upside down. It can destroy marriages. It can cause people not to be able to work. And just, loss of enjoyment of life when they're going through these things and all the symptoms that go along with it, including loss of sleep, loss of libido, just so many things these women suffer from.
It's an amazing thing because so many things happen during this time period. I mean, aside from their regular periods, which are missing, hot flashes, vaginal dryness, sleeping problems because of hot flashes and night sweats, together with weight gain, which, golly, that's just a real hard thing to fight. And one that's really interesting is brain fog, where a gal is having a hard time making decisions, can't think straight, just basically flies off the handle any old time. In that, together with thinning hair, just things just are going every which way. And this is just what menopause can cause. It's just because of the fact that the hormones are all over the place. They're too high or too low. And the body wants to find some way to get in the middle. It just hasn't found it yet.
And usually when they go into at least conventional doctors, because I know this because I've treated many of the women who've been there, done that. Of course, what they often get are synthetic analog hormone replacement therapy, which derived usually from a horse and has potential effects that are long, including blood clots and cancer and other problems. And women, frankly, just don't want to go there. They do not want pharmaceutical drugs because they've read horror stories or they know somebody who's been on these drugs, and it's not that good. Now, there are ways to balance out the hormone system. There's no question about this, including bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which is plant material hormones. But often we find that the entire endocrine system, hormone system, is being bogged down by numbers of toxins that have been accumulated and are floating in the body and are just essentially confusing the body as to how to work. Larry, stay where you are. We're going to take a break and come back, ladies and gentlemen, for discussion in this topic of women's health, menopause, and perimenopause. And you are tuned into the Dr. Bob Martin Show. We'll be right back. We'll get back to our special guest, Larry Logsdon, who is a functional food researcher and chemist specializing in the medicinal and health-giving properties and benefits of exotic fruits momentarily here. But if you're just tuning into the program, I want to let you know we also have a health poll question. I want to get your opinion of it. And it goes like this, and it's on my website at drbob.com, spelling out the word doctor, drbob.com. Should ultra-processed foods, you know, those foods that you find in the prototypical convenience store or down at the gas station or the road stop out there on the highway, that donuts, you know, French fries, cookies, you know, junk food. Everybody knows them as junk food. Should they, ladies and gentlemen, should they be banned from schools where our children and grandchildren are going to try to find calories and nutrition? Should they be banned from schools and hospitals where people go to get healthy? Hopefully. And should they be stopped serving them there? Keep them from pushing aside the more healthier alternatives that we all know and trust. Yes or no? You can vote on that at drbob.com, spelling out the word doctor, D-O-C-T-O-R, bob.com. We'll have the polling data at a later time. All right, back to our special guest. We are on the topic of natural solutions for menopause and perimenopause, that stage which is before menopause. Women in the United States, tens of millions of them are suffering with menopausal symptoms, and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. They're very suspicious of, and some have already tried hormone replacement therapy, and it's been a disaster. Some get well with that, but many women are not willing to take the risk because they read the same horror stories everybody else does about cancer, potential risk, and blood clots, and all kind of weight gain, all the other stuff, and they don't want it. So we recruited a person to come in onto the show and talk about options, alternatives for it. We were just talking about some of the symptoms associated with menopause, and our guest, Larry Logsdon, mentioned brain fog. And I think that resonated with a lot of women. They're thinking, well, wow, finally, I got a clue as to what's going on. I'm not really having an Alzheimer's moment. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not having dementia. Brain fog. That sort of describes what I got. I'm amazed that it's related to my hormone issues, my hormone imbalance. So, Larry, let's pick it up from there. Is it your opinion that most women are receiving proper treatment for their menopausal symptoms, which usually involves pharmaceutical drugs, or you got to just learn to live with it?
Well, no, just Dr. Bob, most doctors don't know what the flip to do when they're presented with a patient who's going through menopause. It's just the facts are 85% of most doctors have no idea what to do. They just are reaching for the pain pills and the crazy pills, and they think, here, this will take care of it, or let me get you on some estrogen replacement therapy. And the reality is all that stuff is just a Band-Aid for the real problem. And that is the body's out of balance.
Well, that's common medical practice. That's standard of practice, and doctors mean well. They want to help their patients, but they're limited by obviously their training and, of course, what is offered up in their training in school. So often not their fault had they had additional.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
What are the common causes then, Larry? Since it's obviously some type of a hormonal imbalance, but what sets that into motion? Because I have to admit, my wife never had one symptom of menopause. She didn't know she went through menopause. She had no hot flashes, no problems with any of that stuff that you typically read about and you hear about with women going through. So it's not that every single woman goes through perimenopausal and menopausal symptoms, just those who have problems or imbalances.
That's right. And a lot of this has to do with xenoestrogens, which are from plastics and those kinds of materials, which are everywhere. And those things, they go and they grab the estrogen receptors so that your true estrogen can't get to it. And so the body is not getting the right messages. So it's all out of whack. And that is the primary problem I've seen. I mean, gals think they're doing the right thing. They're drinking their soy milk, which is man-made, got lots of these xenoestrogens in it. Take a look around at most foods or plastic packaging. You'll find that this has been a real problem for quite a while. But we didn't have it until the plastics met the foods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question about it. When you say the plastics are gumming up the system, that's true. It's sort of like trying to put a key in a lock that something is already occupying in there. And of course,
Right.
That hormone cannot get in that receptor to set things right and keep the body in balance.
Right.
Correct. And the heavy metals can get in there, lots of toxicity, and we're exposed to thousands of these chemicals on an everyday basis. So it's a big challenge for women. They're often exposed to that from birth on, and they have challenges. And some of their bodies are very successful and efficient at detoxification, but others, a good number of them, are not. And that's why they turn to their doctors to help them with all these symptoms that are wreaking havoc on their life and giving them low quality of life. I don't blame them for going to their doctors, but of course, a lot of them, all they get is, again, more drugs, or you have to learn to live with it. With respect to the most common form of treatment of menopause, what's wrong with the standard hormone replacement therapies? Can you give me potential side effects that women need to be aware of before they make that decision? Sometimes they're not told by their own doctors.
Well, first of all, the standard hormone replacements are usually derived from a horse. And the horse hormones are not bioidentical. And in fact, they're much more potent than the human type of hormone. And they are the precursor to cancer. And you'll find that gals who get onto that kind of thing early are the same ones who are fighting cancer later. It's just a death wish. The suggestion is you want bioidentical hormones, if at all possible. And there are doctors who practice this way, but you have to look to find them because, they have to work at this. This isn't easy pickings.
No, you're right. It requires additional training outside one's normal core training to be a doctor. There's no question about it. It's a subspecialty, but of course, going through endocrinology training and physiology training, you get the basics of it, but you get out in the world as a licensed doctor and somebody comes in and says, oh man, I'm sweating to death at night. I'm gaining weight. I have dry 1 minute tissue. My hormone libido is in the tank. My marriage is at risk. Doctor, please help me. Find a way to help me. And of course, they're there looking for safe and effective alternatives because they too are aware of and have heard of these other things that are given to women, just like you pointed out, standard artificial synthetic hormone replacement therapy. And doctors do this because they don't want their patients to suffer. It's the only game in town for them because it's already to practice. And of course, the patient believes that's the best thing for them on their behalf because, after all, if the doctor knew of something else, they'd certainly use it. But they don't, so that's what they get. All right, Larry, we're going to return to this conversation. And when we do, I want to talk about 15 natural options for women who who are in the menopause and suffering with these symptoms. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stand by. You are tuned into the Dr. Bob Martin Show. Well, we want all of our lovely ladies out there who are listening to the program to be invincible, to be unstoppable, to be confident. But you can't be all of that if you're suffering with menopause or perimenopausal symptoms. And our special guest with us, Larry Logsdon, a functional food researcher and chemist specializing in the medicinal properties of these exotic fruits and how they improve human health when ingested. We're talking about that and the options that women may not know about beyond the standard protocol in conventional medicine, which is drugs on drugs, either antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs, or hormone replacement therapy, all of which has buku adverse side effects and never really addresses the underlying cause. All right, Larry, let's get back into that conversation. What about safe? And I think a lot of women, they're looking for something safe and effective that's natural, but they don't know how to get to it. They don't know that it even exists. Do they exist? And can you tell our audience what they are?
Yes, Dr. Bob, they do exist. And the one that we know most is Noni juice. And more specifically, Tahiti Trader's Noni juice with blueberry. Here's the thing. The body wants to balance itself. And Noni promotes nutritive cellular regeneration and hormonal balance, which will support estrogen levels to get normalized. This is what you want. And this is very important because Noni contains the flavonoids that are called glycosides, and they're classified as phytoestrogens. And they contain a variety of phytoestrogens that have been identified, which bind to the estrogen receptor that comprises a protective effect, which would then push out the xenoestrogens. This is what you want, so you can get your body back in normal again.
So it sounds like nature comes through. Once again, we just need to find it in nature, what it is, how it works, and then start ingesting it. Folks, we're talking about Tahiti Trader Noni juice. Now, if you're unfamiliar with it, become familiar with it. If you have or you know somebody who has menopausal or perimenopausal problems or don't want those problems, this is available in the marketplace. You can find Tahiti Trader Noni juice at health food stores pretty much nationwide, including GNC and Sprouts, and Vitamin Shop, and Whole Foods. Or you can go to the website for more information after this conversation at TahitiTrader.com, TahitiTrader.com. What does the science say, Larry, with respect to this? And are there experts out there who are really giving testimonials or encouraging women to try something different?
There are. In fact, right now, there is a Dr. Lisa Mastoni, who specializes in menopause. She's called the menopause doctor. And we have found that she has been promoting, utilizing basically the Mediterranean diet together with Noni juice that can resolve most of the menopausal problems. And I think we even have a clip we might be able to share.
Oh, yes. And I was going to say, I appreciate you sending that over to me. I'm going to go ahead and ask my producer to play this. This is the menopause doctor, what she does, what she recommends for menopausal symptoms and perimenopausal problems. Go.
Menopause changes the functionality of your brain. 2/3 of all women experience brain fog. Those are brain symptoms not recognized in medicine. In fact, we know that Black and Hispanic women may experience more severe symptoms. And all women go through menopause. And the vast majority of women will experience brain symptoms or neurological symptoms during menopause. 2/3 of all women going through menopause experience brain fog and memory lapses. And those symptoms, yes, they are related to menopause, but they have nothing to do with the ovaries. The brain really wants and needs very specific nutrients to function at its best. So the nutrients that your brain really relies on are antioxidants, things that you find in fruits and veggies, lean proteins, so amino acids, and polyunsaturated fatty acids. Supplements are typically used to supplement a healthy diet, not to replace it. Antioxidants as well. I take vitamin C. You know what I really like is more extract and botanical. But what I really enjoy is to get my nutrients from. So in the morning, the first thing I do is that I drink water immediately. So then I have Noni juice, which is a Noni, Noni, is a wonderful juice from the Pacific Islands that has a little bit of a bitter taste, which is always good because bitters are really good for digestion and gut health. And that's important for brain health and elimination as well, and clearance. And it's very rich in vitamins and minerals and a lot of phytonutrients. So that's a good concentrated source. And this mixed with blueberry juice. So that's also really good to have. Noni antioxidants have also been linked with a gentler menopause overall and fewer menstrual cramps and less pain and a lower risk of premenstrual syndrome as well.
So there you heard it from the hormone replacement lady, the natural menopause 30, recommending basically an exotic fruit juice, which you should know more about. She uses it in her practice. It's called Noni juice. You can find Tahiti Trader Noni juice and find her health food stores nationwide, including GNC, Sprouts, Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods. 15. TahitiTrader.com, or you can pick up the telephone and call them, 810-842-5309. Stay tuned. We're coming right back. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. Special guest, Larry Logsdon, functional researcher and chemist. We're here talking about options for women who are suffering with menopausal or perimenopausal symptoms, from hot flashes to sleepless nights, to brain fog, to depression. There are ways beyond the conventional treatments of drug therapy to help women with this. And we're hearing about that with using a tropical fruit that helps to detoxify the body and allows the body to get back into balance, back into hormone balance, and work well again. You can find Tahiti Trader Noni Juice at finer health food stores everywhere, or you can go to their website, TahitiTrader.com, TahitiTrader.com. Now, Larry, we just have a minute or two here left in the program. You mentioned these flavone glucosides and how they provide natural estrogenic effects to the body. Is there any problem with men taking Noni juice? You know, you always read about and hear about man boobs, men developing man boobs. Is there any concern there, my friend?
Not at all, Dr. Bob, although that's a good question. You'll find that the same receptors are in men and in women, but men have different amounts of them. Therefore, there's no big deal.
Okay. No and besides menopausal symptoms, and what are there any adverse side effects of taking Noni juice internally? I mean, is there anything to worry about if you're taking drugs, other drugs, if you're taking other supplements? Is there any contraindications for taking Tahiti Trader Noni juice?
The only one I know of is you're going to feel a whole lot better almost immediately.
Well, that's the one I want. Bring it. I mean,
yeah, it's an amazing thing.
As soon as you Noni juice. 1 minute. I'm drinking Noni juice in my smoothie in the morning, Larry, on a regular basis, and I thank you for that, turning me on to it many, many, many years ago. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you will just try that, you'll like it. You'll like what you feel, how you feel. That's the first thing we do is in the morning, you add all these special nutrient ingredients into that day start-up smoothie in the morning. You know, your 30, your green drink, and add an ounce or two of Tahiti Trader Noni juice and all the other goodies in there. You're going to be a whole lot better off. All right, for those people looking for Tahiti Trader Noni juice, you can find it at finer health food stores nationwide, including GNC, 15, Sprouts, Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods, or you can go to TahitiTrader.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Thank you, Larry Logsdon, for joining us. Stay tuned. We're coming right back. I'm Dr. Bob Martin.